Bring in our political panel, Simon Banks and Parnell Palm McGuinness. Great to see you both. Parnell, what do you make of the visit? A very warm welcome so far for Premier Li Qiang.
It's great, and it's just what the government needs at the moment, and it is what in Australia's best interests to have a warm relationship, at least above the line, between the two leaders. Of course, you know, we have to hope that behind the scenes, the serious issues of espionage and of foreign influence and other issues like that are being raised. But at the same time, it is important that these top-line cordial relations are visibly had, and to keep the lines of communication open with China.
Yep. Exactly, but it's not without its difficulties, is it, Simon Banks, from imprisoned Australians to, as Parnell rightly points out, the cyber espionage?
Yeah, and of course there are regional and geostrategic issues that they'll be talking about as well. And Australia and China aren't aligned on all of these issues, but our trade relationship is nonetheless the most significant one that we've got. So look, we need to be able to improve that relationship. Obviously, we've seen with the progress that's been made about resolving some of those trade issues. Over the last 2 years, there's been very good progress in relation to those. But as Pam said, like we just cannot assume that the relationship will be stable and safe. There are clearly going to be difficult issues in the relationship in the years ahead. But as I constantly say, Kieran, it's better for us to jaw than to war.
Yeah, that's the famous phrase indeed, and you've got those images there live from Parliament House. You can see a few officials mingling, a couple of parliamentary broadcast staffers, as well as you see the preparations now being finalised for this ceremony. We'll have all of it live for you, followed by some remarks. And Parnell, the thing is, and this is what I found intriguing, speaking to the former ambassador, Jeff Raby, former ambassador to Beijing, he said the trade relationship had grown massively in the 7 years since the last official visit. So even when things have been rocky, the economic ties have remained strong and growing, even though some specific areas had been targeted with sanctions.
That's right. Sometimes these sanctions are really show sanctions, and there are other things going on behind the scenes that we don't see, that aren't as visible. So, I mean, of course, we have a lot of Chinese expats living in Sydney, or in Australia. We have a lot of people who now have families, who are permanent residents, who are citizens here, who still have ties back to China, and that promotes other kinds of exchange and growth. And so these ties exist, but of course we also have to be very careful, on the other hand, that China isn't using those ties to have nefarious influence on Australia, because they do also, you know, while it's beneficial on the trade side, they do have a tendency to use people living in Australia as pawns to get things done by threatening harm to their family back at home. So, you know, we must never lose sight of the fact that we're dealing with a dictatorship, with an authoritarian regime, but at the same time, we have to try and find ways to get along and have a healthy relationship that's as healthy as possible.